We are fine now. All right, we'll start the podcast. Welcome everybody. Sorry for the technical difficulties. So today, I'm Gabriel. I'm from batch 3 alumni from ASD, and I have with me a few very special guests. On my right is Zaya. Say hi.
Hi, I'm from batch 4.
I
And
don't know it's called that way.
yeah, we started.
You never say count number like each batch.
Yeah, we started by saying our batch number. So anyway, this is Villa. Villa from my batch 3. Say hi.
Yes. Hi, I'm from batch 3.
Later we'll share a bit more about where we are working right now and how we got to know each other. And Jennifer on my furthest left is batch number.
Batch 5.
Yeah, so this podcast is pretty interesting. It's a good start for us to start to gather around and to share about our conversations, our thoughts, and our own views on certain key topics. So right now, I'm just going to start by introducing myself first. I'm Gabriel. I'm batch 3. I'm currently in SJ and working on HDB BTO projects. So a brief overview of what I'm doing is also on the side is like I do podcasts like this. So it's my side hustle kind of thing. No money yet, but hopefully soon. Yeah, and so maybe I'll just give some time to each of the guests to introduce themselves and to share a little bit more about where they are right now and what they're doing. So I'll start with Sia.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Zaya. I'm batch 4, so one batch below Gabriel and Willa. Yes, I guess we are calling it that now.
Yeah.
So currently, right now, I'm working at Pi Architects. So I've switched over in recent years to more interior related and interior and spatial related projects. It's of varying scales. I'm working mainly on different scales, HDB, condos, landed houses, that sort. So mostly residential for now. Some commercial mixed in once in a while, depending on the projects that my boss brings in. Yeah.
So it's actually an Aki firm, but it's a... Okay, is it? So it's actually an Aki firm, but you're in the ID department, that kind of thing? Oh.
Yeah. So it's almost like that. In Pi Architects, we have the architecture side, Archi team, and the ID team. So right now I'm working more on interior design related projects, but of course there's an overlap because the Archi team, they will have we do have projects like especially for landed houses that are rebuilt. So like we will come in at the start actually because like the layout and stuff we still plan them, but it's like but there is a delay in the phasing when it comes to the build because the core structures and stuff all still need to go up first before all the measurements can be done for ID. But we come in very early on because the clients want to know what they're getting. So it's just like a little bit of phase delay when it comes to construction. Yeah.
Thanks, Zia. So Villa, your turn.
Oh, yeah. I just want to give a comment. I think it's great that, ID people has a strong Aki background. Yeah. I think it'll be, and I mean, for you to come in early, I think it will be very helpful. I mean, now from our experience working on Aki side, handling the ID side. Yeah.
See myself.
Sorry. I'm Willa. So I graduated in 2018. So since my graduation until now, I'm at DP Architects. I'm with the healthcare topology group. Has always been in this job in healthcare topology. Hasn't been anywhere else. I guess. Yeah, so our team is now doing both local and overseas projects lah. Yeah, but as a career point of view, I think in healthcare now I'm comfortable. I'm glad at where I am now because I guess doing healthcare is maybe to begin with, I'm not a very pure aesthetic kind of person. I guess even from school time, like my studio projects. I just feel that I'm not very good at like the pure aesthetic.
Are you
I
sure?
think.
I can say she's doing a good job, okay?
No, but
I thought her works in studio is fine. Don't worry.
But yeah, I guess now, I mean, healthcare is more like it's very much of a designing of a system. Like the whole building is like an anatomy by
It's
itself.
a
Yeah.
structured thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and like there's a lot of intercorrelation between different parts of the building, and every parts really need to work in tandem, like together for the whole building to operate. Yeah, so I think I like that side of architecture, and together with the pure architecture, there's like compliance and problem solving. I think I enjoy that. And also on top of that, there's another layer in healthcare, which is like the workflow, and also like things like code blue. I think maybe you know,
Okay, yeah.
because of your wife. Yeah, so I think there's a lot of things to learn indeed, and I guess because of that, I'm still learning up to this point. That's why I'm still here lah. Yeah.
So I'm Jennifer. So right now I'm working in Broadway, Melbourne. So yeah, I'm from batch 5, so I'm the youngest here. So yeah, so I've been working on a variety of things lah. So in Broadway, Melbourne, there's actually an archi team, there's a master planning team, and also the ID side. So mostly I'm working on like master plans and like right now residential complexes for more on the archi side of things. But yeah, so for me, I've been working mainly on design, like ever since I joined Broadway, Melbourne. Yeah, so we work mostly on overseas projects lah. Yeah, but before this, I was actually like working in a local firm doing BTOs lah. So it's been like quite a change. So like last time it's more like kind of see through the process from like design to tender to construction. But for right now in my role now, it's mostly like a lot more design. And I think like for me, I'm like someone who's easily bored lah, okay? So I need to have a variety of things, and I think like if you are still starting out, and like I think it's very hard to say like what you like when you just graduated lah, honestly. Like last time I was like, oh, I like doing like big scale projects like master plans, but when you do big scale projects then you realize, oh, there's a lot of things to resolve also at that scale, and then like it's really like I think after a while I realized like I still want to see the project get built. So like even though I enjoy like and appreciate like master plans and like things at the urban level, I think at the end of the day I also like to do projects where I can see like the building get built lah. So it takes time lah. So just explore when you're just starting out. Yeah.
Alright, so I'll frame the conversation right now. Basically tonight, we're going to talk about the topic of sustainable work practices. Not sustainable building, not the S in ASD. The S is for ourselves. Christopher behind his face palm, but it's okay. Yeah, so the S in ASD, sustainable but to ourselves as an employee. We're looking at internal factors. What can we do as employees to sustain our work, our good work? Supposedly good work lah. Yeah. And so there's two aspects of the conversation that we want to talk about today. Firstly, is about dealing with setting boundaries, because it's very important for us to understand what we can give, what value can we bring to the employer as well as the client, and we need to manage the expectations of ourselves as well as the client, right? And secondly, also about how do you maybe do your work-life balance / integration. Is there any good habits that you'd like to share today? Maybe like for myself, I use 2 phones, a work phone and a personal phone. I'll share more why later. And also things like self-care, like how do you take care of yourself? Because ultimately, sustainable work practices also involves how do you take care of yourself, like health, mental health, physical health. Yeah, these kind of things will be discussed later. And lastly, if you have anything to do with like side projects, because sometimes we get bored and then you do other things after hours. So I think some of us actually done side hustles, like myself and also Jennifer. So we can just share a little bit more about why we take time outside of work to do and pursue these things, and how actually maybe also helps us in our own current day job. Yep. So that's the whole synopsis of the conversation today. And maybe we'll start this conversation by asking a question to all of them. Let me see what's my notes. Sorry. Yeah, so we talk about setting boundaries, right? Maybe what was there an incident in your workplace that you have ever set the boundary and said, I cannot do this, I have to stop, and you communicated that to your client or to your employer? So maybe I'll start by sharing, right? So for setting boundaries, I try to tell myself, I know physically I cannot work past midnight. That's the worst case scenario. And I cannot work every day, every night. Yeah, so I'm no longer young lah. So reaching my 3 already. So it's kind of like I realized, hey, okay lah, I can. Some things cannot be avoided. Yeah, and it's really last minute, and maybe it's self-inflicted. Maybe I spent too much time on something, but I realized I could have done faster. But on some days where I realized that actually this is not due to my problem. This is actually due to project management, poor project management, no manpower resources, and also unrealistic timelines. So how did any all of you all communicate that to your clients? So what I did was so there's one incident where I actually experienced this kind of like unreasonable deadline. Yeah, so firstly you need to be very good rapport with your direct employer. Yeah, the critical most important thing is your boss, your supervisor is the one who's on your side. Yeah, it's very important because they are the ones who are critiquing your work performance. And especially for those fresh grads or especially young alumni like you, if you're watching, right? So this kind of pro tips, right, that I can share today is you're ultimately you're working for an employer, and you not only you can design good design, that's only one part of the work that you do, but the other part of the work is how do you manage expectations between yourself as well as the client. Yeah, so what I did was I told my boss, I have task A, task B, task C, project A, project 1, 2, 3, all one tomorrow. How? So I asked the boss to manage for me because I can't manage myself. Right? Yeah, so that's one way to do it. I mean, you can ask either through WhatsApp or through email. Ideally, you ask the day before. I mean, you don't just say last minute, I can't make it. Yeah, so it's also a skill that you learn after graduation and when you enter the workforce, right? To realize that certain tasks cannot be done in one day. And then when they give you a task A, task B, task C, all at the same time, what do? You must straight away say you cannot already. Don't just say yes, I can do all. Yeah, so that's the very important thing. I recall that I said yes to too many things and then I struggled in the end. So I suffered the working overtime until midnight. Yeah, and I realized it's not worth it.
Yeah, that's true.
And the worst thing is that you make a mistake in doing the task and then they scold you also. Yeah, so that's the worst thing. So any thoughts about setting boundaries for yourself?
For my side, I agree with Gabriel. When you're first starting out, right, you are just eager, full of life and vigor, right? And then you tend to overcommit, and that's where I think things go wrong, right? Because we are kind of in this for the long run, right? It's not just, oh, we do this for the next 10 years, you know, I max out and burn through everything I have and I'm gonna be the next Zaha or what. But it's not really the case. It's more long term, right? And you need to sustain that journey, right? And so in terms of boundaries, last time I fell through that trap as well. Said too many yeses and then, you know, overcommitted. Ended up working on weekends and stuff as well, which was, you know, why you burn out at a job as well. But you know, as you fall down too many times, you learn a little. So right now boundaries are much clearer. Like with clients, we start off, and it helps that my company has a very strong culture about setting boundaries. So like we don't reply texts or emails before, like we are very strict to 9 to maybe like 6, but like at 6:37 around there, but not like 12 midnight you send out emails and stuff. We don't do those, right? Because once you start off one time, the client has this expectation that, hey, I can do this to you the next time, and then it's like giving way, right? And then your boundaries get stretched, and then ends up you are the one who suffers, right? But the thing is also to client manage, right? That you can do your job between 9 to 6 as like perfectly well without spilling over and still deliver amazing results, right? So I think once they know that even if they stick to 9 to 6 or that working hour that you have and you still deliver amazing results, I think slowly they'll back off. But I think it's also like the trust that you have to build up over time, right? Yeah. So that is I guess that setting boundaries is something for young alumni. It's something very, very important. Because if you can't, then you, like Gabriel said, right? You start making mistakes. Everything is wrong, right? Like for me, I'm not a night person. I can't really do like overnight kind of thing. Like past 11, I'm just sluggish. I can wake up earlier to do the thing, but I can't stay. Yeah, so I'm a morning person kind of thing. So you also need to see what type of person you are to suit the working style, right? I mean, 9 to 6, of course, you can't run away from that, right?
Yes.
But if you need to put hours, be strategic about it. Yeah, and don't do it too often, maybe. Yeah.
Okay, so we take this order.
Yeah.
Right. I think I want to start by commenting to what you say also. I mean, at where I am now, I have like a team that we work together. I think I also just want to highlight one more time that it's really important to say early if you cannot finish, because like for us who manage the works also, if we know that you cannot do it, then we can plan other plan, like plan B. If you say too last minute, then there's nothing we can do to finish it really. Yeah. Then also maybe another thing to highlight, like, I also think that on the boss side, internal side, it will be very important to have a good employer that will take your side. I think that's a really good point. So I think it doesn't really matter where you work, like what company, small, big, but the good company, in my opinion, is really where a good team and a good boss is. Yeah. And maybe on setting boundaries more, I think I want to discuss more on like how you handle the clients when they are like asking you beyond your boundaries. So I believe that it's better to make friends with your team rather than make enemies. Then in that way, right, they are also more like if you are kind to a person, then that person will be like so like when you start a project, then as a architect, usually you have that opportunity actually, because as architects team, you are usually the lead of all the consultants. So you set the mood such that, if I can help you, I help you, then you will help me back.
Yeah.
Then everyone will be more happy. And I think also the approach to put yourself in other people's shoe, so that you understand, sometimes like when a client, let's say, they really like push you, you need to issue this set of drawings by tomorrow. Like if you put yourself in their shoe, like try to really understand why do they actually need it. For example, maybe you have a good relationship with them, you chat with them a little bit, you probably find out, like, for example, like, they are just concerned about this point at level 1 because they heard like from other projects there's a problem with this. So you can, like, let's say offer, I just like focus on this point, I design for you, I resolve everything, just this point at level 1, and I issue to you the level 1 after this meeting, rather than so that you don't need to like kill yourself and finish the whole set of drawings by tomorrow. Maybe I'll pass the mic.
Okay, honestly, I think I've been very lucky. I don't think I OT that much, honestly. But obviously I have my crunch time, so like it's not like every day like I go home on time. And I think like along the years, like one of the important things I learned, that especially when you're a junior, right, when you just first started out, right, like usually bosses or your seniors will give your work like task by task. And like I think that's okay, but I think it's also good to ask like in advance, like, what's my task for like this week, or like when are these things due? Because like sometimes like things are given to you last minute, and then they say like, but I need it like by tomorrow morning or by today. Then because of that, like you need to OT like suddenly, then it's like it kind of ruins your plans at times lah. So like for me, it's like very important to like, I will always ask like at the start of the week, like, so after this project, what's next, or like what's next week, so like I can plan my time ahead, and then like that way you won't like get frustrated when you like need to OT suddenly and then you need to cancel plans, because it, like, I think in the long run, right, like it affects your mental health and like even like your relationships with your friends and families lah. So so like just pick up, and I think it's so good to know like what tasks you have like in advance, so like you don't like do things like just task by task, but rather like you see the whole progress of like your whole project lah. Yeah.
I think overall very good points. So I just take to summarize, right? So one good point that I think you raised was progressive submission. Yeah. So let's say for example a client gives you, I want all these drawings by tomorrow. Then maybe you just say, can I just give the most critical ones first? That's a very good strategy, and then also maybe like having a good forecast, like having idea of asking your boss what am I expected to do next week, and then you plan out your time. Yeah. So what I personally do is also I have my own calendar on my Outlook, so I make it public so anyone can see what I'm doing. Obviously, I'm overloaded, so I just purposely put all my projects, project meetings all on the calendar, so it's very open. Everyone can see it. So. And then they keep booking my time, so I can just say, oh, you just look at my calendar, it's open. You can see how busy I am, right? Just block the time for me, I'll attend to you. Yeah. So that's one way that you can do it, especially in a big company with like this Microsoft Outlook. You can use Google Calendar. I don't know how companies do it. They have a shared calendar. So this is some ways that you can actually set your own boundaries, and also maybe like having a work phone or not indirectly telling your clients that I don't answer your replies on the weekend. So these kind of strategies, I think hopefully you guys are watching and listening, right? Take to heart and also use this in your own career. Right. Let's move on to the next topic. In terms of any things that maybe habits like work routines. Let's say for example when you start work in the morning, is there anything that you do particularly that sets you in the right mood or the right motivations? Maybe I start first. To give something, I think. So, yeah, some of the questions are not scripted, by the way. So this is really off the cuff. So for myself, so in the morning, obviously you don't wake up every day feeling great about your work. It's a fact. my Christopher is behind. Anyway, so I want to say. Yeah, so in terms of, every morning I try to set expectations for myself, right? So I know from yesterday I still owe somebody this, and if it is too much to do, that I have to do the first thing in the morning. I have to talk to my boss already. I have this thing all from yesterday. Can I like delegate out, or is it important or is it urgent? So I want to introduce Eisenhower matrix. So this is the framework that I use personally. It's basically your different tasks, right? You can put it into 4 matrix. It's either there's 2 axes. So one axis is the importance, the other one is urgency. Yeah, so there's some tasks that are not urgent, not important. So that one is throw away, don't do. Then the next level is important but not urgent. So you can do later. Yeah. Then the other one is what's the one? Important and very urgent. Then must do now. Then must do now. Then got one is urgent but not important. That one delegate out. Yeah. So there's 4 different buckets of tasks that you can actually delegate your work, and also to prioritize. So that's what I personally do. Any thoughts about this?
So I don't really use the Eisenhower matrix.
I mean, it's a mental model.
Yeah, but I think
I don't plot everything.
Yeah. But I think
Excel.
I don't do Excel. It's not Excel sheet.
every morning take out tracing
You
paper.
mentally know lah, like roughly what to delegate. Yeah.
So I don't really do that per se, but it's like you say, it's just an unconscious thing.
Yeah.
But what I do is like in the mornings, right? I will try and clear off these low-hanging fruits that can be quickly cleared. That to start off the mood, right? Like you do a few things right, and then you become confident and you rush off for the rest of the day. And another thing that last time I used to practice, and which also my company practices, is time blocking. So we do this thing called time blocking. Like, so if you go on to we go onto our calendars, we have blocked out times of chunks of what we have to do for each day. And then of course there's another version where like everybody blocks out the time publicly on the Google Calendar for everybody, so we know where this person is at all times, and we can book a meeting with this person, or like we know, right? But internally for your own personal, I think time blocking works because now you have because I think we went through design school, right? And we're very visual creatures, right? And we've got to see the thing so that we can actually like understand the whole thing. Like we usually draw and stuff, right? So that time blocking sets a very visual thing on the calendar. So like you know the weight of the time that you need to give, like 30 minutes, 15 minutes, right? And then you plan it. So you know, like for the week, you know how to plan, and then hopefully if the contractors or external consultants don't mess that timeline up, you kind of like can plan and know what you're going to do for the rest of the week. And I think it sets that very clear, like, oh, I'm just checking items off my list, and you feel good about it. Right? That's just my take on this. Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to disturb the order. Is it okay?
Oops. I also like a bit stumped. I think it goes back to like it goes back to like asking like your boss beforehand, like what's your task for the week, or like what's the project timeline is gonna be like. For me, like that's very important, because like, okay, so like as junior designers, like most of the time they will try to give you like one task at a time. They say so it's like easier for you to process and break it down and things like that. But for me, right, like especially if you're going to be in that project like long term, I think it's very important to see like actually the whole timeline of the project, and then like understand like why these tasks come first, and like so like, and then like because of that, I think you also kind of manage your time better, and how to like you also like, I think as a young designer also have to like train yourself how to complete like tasks effectively. And so like when you see the whole big picture, right, you kind of know like how much effort you need to put in like certain stages and things like that lah. And like I think you also probably like will learn like your weaknesses, like, oh, I kind of this stage of the project probably is like something that I need to spend more time on, but then like from there you also learn how to be more effective lah.
For me, I guess something that I want to share, I think it's not really like every morning, but it's every week. It's something that my team would do, because I think our projects tends to be a bigger project, so it's very team heavy. So every Monday morning we will have our internal meeting. So I think, I mean, as an individual, your own, I mean, you may be able to suggest this to your team. I think it's very helpful. So every Monday morning we literally sit down and discuss what are we gonna do today, what meeting do we have today, and what deliverables that we need to do today. So in that meeting we also can delegate the task. For this meeting Tuesday we need to present this. So you A do this, B do this. So I think it's very effective. And I think on top of that, personally, for the every morning part, I think I do time blocking ish. But I think what is helpful also is to break it down into micro schedule. So it's literally not just like, maybe if you have 4 projects, it's not just like, oh, project A I do 7 to 9, but it's literally like, oh, find location for 3-meter DB cabinet, like very specific task. So when you tick it off, right, and I think it's easier to tick off also, because if you put a very large of item, very broad, you can never tick it off.
When problems are too big, right? Problems are too big, you kind of get daunted by it, right? So when you break it down, then you realize, hey, this problem is not that bad anymore.
That's all.
Okay, let's come to the very crux of the issue, right? So there's some issues that we face as employees lah. So the main first thing, apart from setting boundaries and expectations, right now the crux of the discussion, right, is what if your boss tells you to work overtime? Like what will you say? Like, let's say he tells you, oh, I need to finish this over the weekend. You want to answer first?
Okay. Alright, so I think it happened to me before, I think. But I think I don't blame my boss. Because I quite appreciate the dynamic that my team and my boss is creating for our whole team. So he make it such that we work in a team. My problem is your problem too, your problem is my problem. So when we we are in a crunch and he really already say that, he's very rarely say this lah. But when he say, it means like, you know, we really needs help. And you know, and when he does that and I do it, he also appreciate what I do. So in a way, yeah, I think, yeah, I mean, I will see, maybe like what you say, I'll try to understand, is it really something that needs to be done tomorrow? Is it really like, is it someone gonna be dead or someone gonna lose a lot of money, that kind of thing? Or is it just like, oh, to make my client happy? Then, you know, not very worth it. But yeah, but I think personally for my boss, I'm lucky to have a quite nice boss. When he say it's really gravely need to be done tomorrow, so I'll do it lah. Yeah. This way. Sorry.
I think like I said earlier, I don't really OT, to be honest. Like, and like, so when it comes, like the time comes, I mean, usually it must be done lah. And like usually, I think so how I manage the time and like also my personal well-being is like, so same thing. I always ask like, oh, when do you need this by? Then they will you say, I need this by like this Friday. But like I know like I can't like OT the whole week for sure. I'm not like someone who can like pull through hours, like even when I was in school lah. So then because of that, like I know like say I don't want to go home too late on Friday. I mean it's a Friday, right? Then I will break down my like hours like accordingly throughout the whole week lah. So like say on Tuesday and Thursday I try to push through a bit harder. And like I think you also got to understand from your boss's perspective sometimes like sometimes like there is certain periods that are like really crunch time. But then like, but if you're aware, like I mean for my case I've been lucky that I don't have to be faced with such a situation. But like sometimes you ask yourself like can you negotiate like with your boss or your client like to give things out progressively lah, cause that's what I also notice what my boss do sometimes. Like, so we don't give everything at one go. Sometimes we say we give like say the plans first and then like the sections follow up and things like that. Yeah.
Well, I think sorry. Yeah, so realize so good points raised so far about asking back a question, when do you need this by? I think it's very important. Secondly, so for myself, I most of the time when I OT is because I need to lah, because okay lah. So I'm at a stage where I am being recognized for my hard work. Yeah, so it's good. It's at least they're recognizing my efforts, and they have promoted me, which is great. So in terms of that, I try to do the best I can. So that on the one hand, I realize I know I'm overloaded. I am. So at this point in time, as of today, I'm overloaded because I took over 2 projects from my ex colleague. His boss help me. But I know that if I do it well, I'll be recognized again. Yeah. So
like
that,
being appreciated for your OT.
Yeah. It's not that I want the OT. But I also don't OT a lot. So I try to limit it to at most 2 days. Per week. Yeah, at most. So that's why I can do a podcast. But anyway, yeah, and so the 2 nights I know that I can work at most 2 nights per week, and that should be good enough to manage the many projects that I'm doing. So I think when I realized why I OT, right? Firstly is high workload. Secondly is the time essence is really important. You need to do it now because especially TOP. Yeah, this is very critical. So then I realized I OT because of TOP most of the time. Yeah, to all the documentation and overnight to check. Because usually in the daytime you'll be on site to check the site readiness, and then at night you do a lot of documentation. So that is the crunch time lah. So and other than that, I don't really OT much lah. So the only time I OT is when I go on holiday, and then I come back with the backlog. Then I have to OT to clear the work. Yeah, so that's what I realized. The holiday is still worthy. Okay, please take breaks. Please take breaks and enjoy yourself. But after you come back, please know that you have backlog to do, and be ready to at least OT and clear up the work lah. Don't let it fester. Yeah, that's why I realized I OT. So.
Okay, so at my current place, it has gotten better. OT is not as rampant as before, so it is great. Initially, yes, I was trying to, towards the start when I was trying to fit in, trying to understand what the requirements were. Though that time was a little bit harder. But my bosses are kind of more understanding. They like it's like if you go to them and then lay it out like I only have this amount of hours in a day. This are all the tasks that you want me to do. If you don't prioritize and ask me to finish, it's not gonna work out.
It's
right?
gonna be shit work.
Yeah, it's gonna be shit work, confirmed, right? So they are aware of that, and because they care about the work that goes out, they don't crunch you. But there was a time where there were 2 ongoing tenders going at the same time, and we were really putting in hours, and so we were OTing. But when we couldn't make it, we told my team and I, we told the boss like we can't make it, and we told him can we shift the deadline, and he was like, okay, if the client's okay, manage the client, and if you can shift it. Right, so in that sense, there is some autonomy given to us to try and manage the client, and like, hey, we're doing this. Of course, you got to be smart about it. You're like, hey, we are taking a little bit more time to make sure everything is okay, and that kind of like like client management comes in. Yeah. So I guess it also depends on the firm and the culture that's there, right? If the bosses are out there to squeeze you, and then you just do, and then it's all wrong, go out. It really doesn't help anybody as well. And I always tell like the contractors that try to rush and rush us. I'll ask them, is the building gonna collapse tomorrow? No, right? If not, it can wait. Then yeah. Between like 9 o'clock, you text me. What are you gonna do? You can't even. If it's a residential area, you can't even knock or drill or anything. So what difference does it make if you wait 12 more hours and 9 a.m. I send it out first thing to you in the morning? Yeah.
I think for architects, right? So when you submit, let's say for example, a client asks you to submit something over the weekend, then my question is, will the authorities review your submission on a weekend? Yeah, and it's very funny because like in SJ, we have a drafting office, right? So they'll be the ones holding the token, QP token, and also to submit, encrypt the document and submit. So firstly, will my colleagues go down to the office and take the token and submit for you? Secondly, will the authorities go and view the submission during the weekend? So what's the point of having your client tell you, I need this submitted Saturday or Friday, even Friday. It's like Friday afternoon, okay. Oh, we can just submit on Monday morning.
Monday morning doesn't make that difference. It doesn't make a difference.
So that's one thing that I want to share. Of course, understand how the industry works and the different people involved, and the authorities, your client, your colleagues. Spare top of them because sometimes your colleagues are helping you to submit some stuff. Exactly. And it's very important to be aware of all these inconveniences that you might create just by pushing a deadline. So that's one thing I want to share today. And also realizing that, is this task really, really, really important? Is anyone going to die? Is it just about pleasing your client, right? And the worst thing is that if you do it and then you make a mistake, they'll still blame you. It's actually worse. So as a professional, you must be professional about your time management. So your time is valuable, and ultimately you want to do good work. And if you know that you can't do good work like tonight, then I'll just say I do it tomorrow. First thing morning tomorrow. So you just reply, I do it first thing tomorrow. I'll prioritize tomorrow. That's what I usually do lah.
And maybe you like leave when you reply. Don't leave it like a open-ended thing, like a maybe. Like just give them a
a new deadline.
Deadline. Like you tell, okay, noted. It will be in your email first thing in the morning tomorrow or something like that, right? Like if you just say okay, then what does okay mean? Like noted. Okay, what is noted? Are you gonna do it, or like you leave it? But if you're assertive enough, you just tell them, hey, it's gonna come in tomorrow morning. Wait. I think but I think this thing should be set earlier on, right? So once it's earlier on, it becomes a norm. Whereas like you mentioned earlier, right? If you keep giving way and then this boundary starts shifting and become blurred, then you're in for the very colorful ride.
And then you realize that actually I'm doing too much work. Anyway, no.
Just want to add on. I mean, despite this, but I think as a I mean, in consultancy, you're still doing service, so it's still important, I think, to make the client happy. So I think like what I did is always to approach it positively, you know, even though they are angry or what, but you know, don't add fuel to the fire, like don't make them even more angry. Try to appease them, like, you know, like saying like, oh, we'll send you tomorrow morning, first thing in the morning, that kind of thing. Yeah.
All right. So the next topic is about. So I think some of us actually changed careers, like pivoted. Yeah. So maybe for you, you stayed on, which is great. Maybe you can share what made you stay basically for you, and for us, we make different changes, certain shifts in career. Why do you do it? Because sustainable work practices also involves your own career path. Yeah. So sustainable means like you are able to pivot whenever you feel like pivoting, and there must be some push or pull factors to make these decisions along the way. So maybe you can share why we made these decisions. So for myself, I previously was in another firm, so in Semcorp. So in terms of, it was a very interesting typology. I did military camps. Yeah, so in terms of typology, is you never do army camps in school yeah, let alone industrial buildings. So it's kind of like for the first 2 years it was quite interesting. I really learned a lot on the ground, and to see a building come to life, and also like a small project It's a small project, but it managed to raise the intrigue and curiosity like how I can push my career into a different direction, but also take the lessons that I learned and also adopt it in a new practice. Yeah. So the reason why I left is because after a while it became a bit stagnant. Like there's always this like curve. Yeah, at the start you learn a lot of things. You plateau like towards the second year, third year usually. Yeah, and then itching to try something new and learn something. Yeah. So and also because there was a kind of like a mass exodus happening. Yeah, I won't share more here, but you all can find out for yourself when you ask me personally. But anyway, in terms of yeah, no, unfortunately, but it's reality that this is happening in almost every firm, especially in architecture firms because the people who stay the longest may or may not be the best. Because they may just stay on and just to get the money, their salary.
It becomes routine.
It becomes routine, and they don't really upskill themselves. Yeah, so that could be one reason. And then, as a good person, a good employee leaves the company, it will snowball. You will see the effects very, very quickly, because when a good employee leaves, and then subsequently the projects will be passed on to another person, and then that person also is overloaded. If they don't get to hire somebody in time, then that person also leave. So that's what I witnessed, unfortunately. So I was part of the snowball. Anyway, yeah, so that's why I left also. Anyway, for employers who are listening, if you're listening, right, please be careful of keeping the talent in your company. Yeah, I just wanted to share, not just because although we do sound out, we should sound out, right? If you're feeling like maybe you need to talk to your boss about being overloaded, or feeling depressed, or I don't know, not motivated, want something new, obviously you must have that conversation early. Yeah. And then in terms of the way you craft this meeting is also very important. Yeah, that's why I changed my career. And after I realized something new like HDB BTO projects, and that was something new typology, great. I enjoy learning about this new type of design, new building types, and also doing more of like project side of things. Because previously I was like designing, and then towards the end, somewhat close to TOP, then I just left. Then now I got some TOP experience, so it's quite great. And also because I was doing my journaling for my QP logbook. Yeah, so I have to be very strategic about this So you change your firms and be very sure that this is in line with your own personal values, your own personal goals, as well as what you want to learn in the company. Yeah. Any thoughts? And you changed your career, right?
Yeah, I did. So, fresh out of Archi school, I was in an Archi firm. Reason why I left didn't really align with what I wanted to do, I guess. There was a lot of submission work and stuff. actually I had a very skewed idea of what architects do until I really started working. Because internship, right? You're an intern and then you join like consultancy. They kind of just make you do design work and stuff. So by the time you really like go into an architectural firm, then you're like, oh, we do submission, and then it's the first time seeing so many like requirements, documentations you got to flip through, and it's a little bit difficult if you don't have a direct senior and you're the first hire, and that affected the work there, right? So that's the reason why I left. And then I went on to Upstairs, which was an interior design consultancy. So that job made me fall in love with interior design and gave me hope, I guess, in terms of design, right? Like things were fun again. But then Upstairs, there was like some company shifts and stuff, and I am still a foreigner, so my work pass situation didn't allow me to continue back at Upstairs. So I continued working at sort of like the parent company, which was more like a design and build kind of thing. But things kind of stagnated because I was Archi trained and then subsequently Archi ID trained, right? But it was design and build, everything was about money, which was great to see that side of things. But I think there's value in any company that you join. In the design and build side of things, I got to see much more construction related things. And that was where I really beefed up on my construction details and understand how things came together. In Archi school, you understood things coming together because it's theory, but when you see actually how they do it, it's a different type of learning experience, right? And then that actually propelled me on to continue to stay in ID. So by the time I joined, so over there, it also sort of like what you mentioned, right? Stagnated. So past the point, I decided to move to consultancy that did both architecture and ID. So I get to see both sides, right? And then, but I still wanted to retain in the consultancy side because things are more interesting there as compared to the build side, right? So yeah, I guess every job that you change, there's some merits and learning points. Like you mentioned, it has to align with your goal at the end.
Maybe you have to share why you're still where you are.
Sure. I guess essentially it's because, like I think I mentioned, because I think I'm still learning up to now, and I think if I think of it strategically, I'm still learning on two different paths, like the architecture path and the healthcare path. And to begin with, I think my team and my boss, I think they are the set of people that are very appreciative towards learning journey. They are very supportive of like you doing PPE, for example, and like for you to attend seminar or whatever, they are always agreeable for you to always upskill yourself. And in terms of the learning, the two paths that I mentioned, the architecture and the healthcare. On architecture side, how our team is organized, I think I mentioned this before our podcast starts. So we are expected to start the design and finish off. Like literally, you are the one designing it. You are the one that project manage it until TOP. So in a way, you have a sense of ownership. So so because it's also the project I'm doing are big projects. So up until now, there's none of the project is being built yet. So I'm still here. So I feel that sense of ownership. So I don't want to leave before I see it built and built by me. You know, because if I leave now, I cannot say that it's my project. Like Then on healthcare side also, I think there's really a lot of things to learn because it's the even you do Singapore local projects. Like operator A operates differently to operator B, so the workflow and everything change. You solve a new problem, you learn a new thing. Then on top of that, if you do overseas project, private hospital, the public hospital is very different. It really depends on how they operate the hospitals, and again, it's like completely different things. Maybe you share why you change.
Okay, so the first company I was working in was a local firm lah, and it was great lah. I think because before that, when I was interning, I was actually in a consultancy also, so I was only doing design, so I didn't know how things were getting built or like things on the local authority side. So when I joined that firm when I first graduated, right, it was actually quite a good learning experience lah. Honestly lah, like I got to see like how like things got submitted for tender, and then like doing things for authority submission and things like that. But like I think for me it was like I mean there are some people who are very sure they just want to do a single typology, right? But for me it was hard to accept that like I was like it's like BTO's the only thing I want to like do. Like
easily bored.
Yeah, and like I'm easily bored lah. So it's not a good thing lah. Like, but I mean like there are some people who really enjoy only doing one typology and like there's nothing wrong with it lah. But for me I couldn't lah, and like I think at that point I was still quite young. So like around 2 years after that I I'm still young. Okay. And like yeah. So then I moved on lah to Broadway Marion, which is a consultancy also, and like I think it has a wider variety of projects lah, because I did go to a few places like to interview lah, and like some places like even some MNCs also just focus on like one type of typology lah. And so for me like I think the pool was like to really like experience like different type of typologies, because like at that point of time like how do I know like I only want to do residential or like commercial or things like that. And then from there like I got to experience a lot of things lah, like, and because there's like master planning also, I also sometimes get put in to do like master planning jobs. And then like now like after a while I realized like actually I still do want to see the build side of things lah. So and then like occasionally there are projects that like locally where we can go down to site lah. So I think it's a good thing to explore early also lah. Yeah.
Yeah, certain good points raised. So firstly, what are you learning at your job? Yeah. Secondly, are you being recognized at your job? Like the work that you're doing, like the efforts you put into the work, and also maybe does it align with your own personal your values, and also what you like, yeah. So the typology that you're doing. So for her, it's like she really invested in healthcare, which is great. Yeah, which is great. Yeah, I think it's a very good, because my wife is a nurse, so I really appreciate the work that she do and at the wards, and she always complain about the ward designer. So I think the critical thing is she always complain. she always tells me about how the layout of the ward is like. She had to walk longer, like from like one place to another place. So sometimes you prioritize. Do you prioritize the walking distance for the patients or the nurses, that kind of thing? So it's the way you balance these type of priorities, and I think it's very interesting lah for healthcare. And also, so for myself, it's public housing. I never knew all these public housing things, like behind the scenes, you know, the different town council, the HDB, a lot of different people involved. I think what makes the estate so beautiful to stay in is actually a lot of hard work behind it. Yeah. So all these things. So are you recognized at your job? Are you learning at your job? Do you feel like you're contributing well, and whether you enjoy the work that you do? So this is what makes your work sustainable. Yeah. So we're going to end off this podcast very quickly. Maybe each person can just share about one takeaway they'd like to share with the audience regarding sustainable work practices. Give me anything.
I think today we shared quite a bit, right? It's not exhaustive, definitely. I think you have to, of course, go out there and find your own, own thing that works for you, right? But at the end of the day, I think what we have given are just tips. But they do work for us. Like personally, for me, I also have 2 phones. I'm trying to wean myself off completely by leaving my work phone at work, but I haven't got there yet. I will one day. But I think our job, although it is very artistic in nature, we are still a very system-based kind of job. And if you are systematic about things, I think things can run very smoothly, and things can run well, right? So but other than that, of course, we are still in the service industry. We still have to face a lot of people. So, also be emotionally intelligent in that sense, right? Don't rub off shoulders everywhere you go and piss off everybody, right? Yep. But so I think it's just to manage all of that, and you definitely find your own niche and your own way to deal with the different people, right? Yep. But most importantly, take care of yourself, because if you don't, then you can't keep doing what you love, right? And I mean, we are still in the industry because we love what we do, and to sustain that and to keep designing more beautiful things, I think we have to stay healthy first for that to continue. Yeah.
I think I'll answer last.
Okay, so I think for me, just to maybe go back a little bit to the root of, or like the popular topic about the OT, right? Actually, I do OT quite a lot. So I mean, for
But do
you
you enjoy
there,
Do you enjoy it?
you're not alone. So like everyone say they don't OT. Like maybe you are wondering, am I the only one? You are not the only one. I also OT. But I think the essence of it is just whether you are happy or not. So for now, I feel that I'm not that burdened by that OT. Like, because again, the sense of ownership that my bosses give to me when I OT, right, it's the same sense of feeling as me staying back in the studio last time at school. Like when I present it tomorrow, I want it to be perfect. So it is the same, similar kind of feeling. So I think the essence is just ensure that nobody is hurt. Like, for when you are OTing, you are not hurt. Like, and everybody's circumstances is different. So like my
Spouse.
Huh?
Your spouse.
Spouse?
Spouse.
Your spouse.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Like, for now I'm married without kids. So, and my husband also like works rather late. So he like, I'm quite lucky. He support my career also. So he's not hurt. My family is not hurt. I don't have kid. My kid is not hurt. And I still make time for friends. I make sure that I still go out with my friends. I don't skip my family birthdays. So all good, as long as everybody happy, then I think it's sustainable.
I think it's very important to like know what you want out of your career lah. Like, okay, you don't need to know exactly what you want like 10 years down the road or like 20 years down the road. I think it's impossible to know everything also, like what you want at the exact moment. But it's really important to know what your goals are, at least in the short term lah, like say in the next 5 years. Like, cause in that way, then you can really like learn how to navigate your career also more effectively. Like, so like whether you want to put in the hours, is it cause you want to learn something more of it, or is it whether it's like you really want to expand your knowledge with like during that time lah. But even so, you must do it in a sustainable manner lah. And like by knowing your goals, right, also like you kind of can say like you can kind of like conclude or like see whether like the things you are doing now is like worth your time, or like worth like in terms of career development lah. Yeah, so if not, like you be using that extra time like extra time to like actually explore other things other than just OTing lah. And like exploring other things could actually like even help like you at your own work lah. So yeah, so like say doing a podcast maybe like helps you like communicate like better to like consultants or like other clients also. Yeah,
you made a good point about podcast. So the reason why I do this after hours podcast, right, is to raise awareness of all these challenges and stories in the industry. Yeah, so please, you can tune into my podcast. It's called Architecture Seoul, right? You can find it on my YouTube page. But anyway, it's about time that we end the podcast. But just before that, I want to end off by just saying why we are doing what we're doing as in the ASD Alumni. So if you're watching this, right, ASD Alumni is not an organization, it's more like a collective. It's not a very rigid kind of structure.
CTA.
We're just like-minded individuals, like-minded alumni who are just have a little bit of time to plan events and a little bit of time to talk to one another, to come up with a podcast like this. So if you have any topics you want us to talk about in subsequent podcasts, this is the second of the podcast. So previously we talked about alternative careers in architecture, but now this is a topic about sustainable work practices. So we try to share different insights and different topics along the way. So hopefully if any ideas, any suggestions about topics that we can discuss, please feel free to text me. You know my number, and it's on Telegram. Anyway, thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So any questions, just text this in the group chat, and we'll try to answer. Right. Take care. Bye.
Thank you.